Fraser, thanks for being here today and chatting about the buyer inquiry process. And as part of the Marshall White Way, I think it's so critically important to get that right and consistent across the entire company.
Absolutely.
What have you noticed that might be unique in terms of the way that Marshall White operates with their buyers?
One of the great things, and I've worked at other agencies, one of the great things about buyer inquiry that you do get, a lot of the people that are making the inquiry are already known to Marshall White. Obviously, what does help with that is the four offices having a shared database.
Yes.
So in many of the inquiries that are made, they're already known to an agent within Marshall White, which is terrific because they're already qualified. There's already notes in the system about how much they've got to spend and what they're looking for. So in many cases, not all cases, but in many cases, it's much more of a free-flowing conversation because you can look in the system to see what their capacities are, what else they've looked at, which is, obviously knowing that information is so powerful when trading with buyers.
Yeah, it's super powerful from that point of view. And the other component with that is seeing buyer inquiry. What's your philosophy around buyer inquiry? Like it's, do you see it as a primary responsibility on your part? How do you see it? Obviously,
getting a lot of buyer inquiry, we get so many of them, and I think that the more that we look at buyer inquiry, fortunate enough being in the area that we're in, how active buyers are, which is
absolutely
terrific, full stop.
Yes.
But if they're looked at more as an opportunity, so that every buyer inquiry that comes in as to what you can get out of that. Obviously, our primary responsibility with any inquiry that comes in regards to a home is our primary responsibility lies with servicing the vendor, of course.
And for that particular property that inquired?
For that particular home.
Yep.
And that's obviously selling the upsides of that home, its location, and finding out if the particular buyer that you're speaking to is really engaging with the home. And if that's the case, obviously servicing them by asking them about documentation, obviously doing your absolute best to help them achieve their real estate goals by buying the home first and foremost.
Yep.
And then
or putting themselves in a position to bid at auction strongly and so on.
Absolutely. And using Marshall White Finance as well as all the extra resources that we have at Marshall White's that a lot of other agencies don't have in terms of helping them buy the home.
So if you look at this then, a lot of the buyers come into the Marshall White system by open homes, but we also have phone inquiries, we also have email inquiries and so on. So let's talk about, I really like that point, our primary responsibility is to the vendor, and sort of once you've exhausted, is this property right for you kind of thing. So if it's an inquiry, it would be directing them towards why they put the property on the shopping list and so on.
Correct.
And once you've exhausted that, then you'd shift them over to potentially referring them on to other properties and so on?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that it's something that's absolutely critical, that the phone call or the inquiry is not just wasted. I think a lot of agents, fall into not asking the next question, which is obviously if this particular home's not the right one for them, then what else have we got on the books that we can slot them into? Yeah. Obviously, you're financially incentivised to do so, as well as it just being naturally, I think, part of our job in terms of assisting buyers with helping them move into other homes. At other agencies, you're not as fortunate enough to have as many homes as we do on our books to simply slot the buyers into those homes, but furthermore that you're financially incentivised to do so. So it's a massive win-win. It's great for the buyer and it's fantastic for the agent, but paramount that inquiry is not wasted on a couple of questions about the home that they've inquired on, and then it's exhausted and that's the end of it.
Yes.
Pursuing that other avenue of referring a buyer on is something that we've got the opportunity to do, and it should be done every inquiry that's made.
And you talked a win-win. It's actually a win-win-win because it's also a win for the vendor.
Absolutely.
Because you've got all of these people out there directing traffic and directing buyers to look at this or check this out or have you considered this? Let me send you this link. Let me introduce you to this agent or this particular property.
Absolutely.
Huge win from that point of view.
It's terrific, and a lot of the time that the buyer establishing earlier on in that buying inquiry that if that particular buyer has an affiliation with another Marshall White agent, it's then our responsibility to third party sell that other agent, whether that was, it might be Dan Wheeler saying, you're dealing with anybody from Marshall White? Yes, I am. Oh, terrific, who are you speaking to? Dan Wheeler. You can then third party sell. You're in great hands with Dan. I think that's our responsibility as agents to do that.
Absolutely.
Because Dan may be servicing them from a selling front as well. So paramount to be able to, third party sell that agent in.
Fantastic.
And speak to Dan personally and take over from there.
Great. And then you'd mention it to Dan.
Yes.
That, hey, such and such came through our opens or inquired about this property. And I mentioned to them about you and so on.
Yeah.
And great.
And it's not just talked about, it actually happens all the time, which is terrific. So
yes.
It's really good.
Yeah. Look, the vast majority of people, be they inquiring, email or coming to opens, are not going to buy the property that they've inquired on. Pretty obvious. There's 60 groups over a course of a campaign.
Yep.
One buys, there's 59 left over.
Yes.
So I think a lot of the time in an average agency, they're just letting those 59 go. What you've talked about is referring them on, understanding where they're at, and also I'm sure at some point in time you've heard me talk about there's 2 in 10 potential sellers in amongst those particular buyers.
Absolutely.
So could we maybe do a little bit of a role play now of a buyer inquiry? Which would you like to do, after an open home or just a straight buyer inquiry off the phone?
Just a straight buyer inquiry off the phone, fine.
Yeah, okay. It's probably then going to be more so I am interested in the property because if I haven't seen it, we'll go from there.
No worries.
But if we can do a bit of exploring and seeing where we go to.
Absolutely.
Sounds good? I'm not going to look at you because we're on the phone, so I won't see you.
No worries.
So ring, 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 ring.
Ring, ring, hello.
Hi, is this Fraser?
Fraser Cahill from Marshall White.
Hi Fraser, Michael Sheargold.
Hello Michael, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Terrific. How can I help?
I've seen the property that you've got at Hunting Tower Road, and I just wanted to inquire and get a bit of an understanding of what that's on the market for.
Yep. Thanks for the inquiry. It's on the market currently. We've got an indicative selling range of 3 to 3.3.
All right.
We've had our first open on Saturday. It's been fairly well received by the market at those sort of levels. Is that in your price range, or you're looking above or below?
Yeah. Look, it is. It'll depend on how little, how much work, or how well presented it is.
Yes.
How would you say? Is it? Does it need much work, do you think?
Look, it's a fantastic home. Look, it's a very, very livable home now. The current family's been in there for the last 10 years.
Right.
And they'd renovated when they moved into it. So the renovation is spectacular. It's 10 years old, so certainly maybe the next owners that buy it may want to improve it. It's certainly got scope to do so if so desired.
Right.
But a beautiful home as it stands. You've got 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, the off-street car park. I'm sure you've seen it on the internet, but the north aspects of the home and the light throughout, it's been very well thought out. Very livable now, but certainly the scope if you desire to do so down the track, maybe, Michael.
Okay.
Does that sound like something that could be of interest?
Yeah, I think it's worthwhile definitely having a look at it.
Yep.
When's it open?
It's open. We've got the next open on Thursday night from 6 to 6:30, so you might be able to make it after work. Have you been looking for a long while? Is it early days? Have you bid on anything else recently? Whereabouts are you at the moment?
Yeah, look, we've been looking around for the last 2 or 3 months.
Yep.
And we're thinking either sort of the Malvern sort of area, or further afield, sort of around Brighton.
Yep.
So it's two quite different kind of views. Brighton's more of a lifestyle, but there'll be more travel involved from a school's point of view.
Do you mind if I ask Michael, are you moving, have you sold where you currently are, or do you want to be closer to schools, or what's your position at the moment?
Yeah, we want to be closer to schools. We're in Kew at the moment.
Right, great part of the world.
We've really enjoyed that. So, and the plan will be to, definitely to sell our place.
And is that a downsizing or an upsizing position? Or?
Look, it's a bit of a relocation,
right.
And it's probably, with what you've just described, a slight upsize. Yep. Although our land size is bigger where we are in Kew.
Okay. In many cases, Michael, buyers have been already had previous discussions or dealings with an agent from Marshall White. Are you currently speaking to anybody from the agency? In most cases, buyers out there are being helped by somebody from Marshall White.
I've had some conversations with Dan Wheeler.
Terrific. He's you're in great hands there. He's a great agent. I have the privilege of working with him over here. So he's been assisting you with the hunt, I gather.
Yes, he has been. Yes,
terrific. And has he given you a bit of an idea as to where you are currently price wise? In many cases, and even if that's collectively Dan and I, or Dan, if you prefer to come through your home to get a bit of an idea as to what it is that you're looking for. A lot of the time it helps us coming through your home to give us a bit of an idea as to what works for you, what your style is, what sort of home you're looking for. Would that help, or?
Look, that would be quite useful actually.
Yep.
And because I know you guys typically in a month have quite a few properties coming on the market, so it'd be great for you to have a better understanding of what we're looking for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And look, I'll certainly speak to Dan, and I'll obviously tell him that I've had a chat to you, Michael. We'll certainly focus on Hunting Tower if you can make it through on Thursday. It'd be great to see you there. It is a brilliant home, so that's sort of something that you might want to pursue. And from there, if it's not, as he mentioned, we've got certainly other homes on the market that when Dan and I come and see you, we can sort of talk about them as well and pursue some other options and give you a bit of the lay of the land with your home as well, if that would help.
Great, fantastic.
Excellent.
All right. Looking forward to it.
Look forward to seeing you. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Fraser. Appreciate it. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah. My standard is, role players, how did you go and so on, but we won't go there right now.
Yes.
What was great about that is I love the sell you did on Hunting Tower, so you really did honour the, working for the vendor well and truly, understanding where they're at, found out a bit about where we are in the buying process. And then obviously there's a neat follow-up there with Dan to strategise what's the next step with this particular client.
Yeah, no,
very good.
And I've worked at other agencies and having a shared database and other agents so active with so many buyers, it helps enormously. Like the power of the Marshall White network is, especially for those family homes, because it's not an enormous pool.
Exactly.
So. So it's great being able to service buyers like that.
That quantum and the momentum it can build is absolutely sensational.
Yep.
Which is great. Anything else you want to mention on buyer inquiry?
I do think that it's so important that we do look at every inquiry as an opportunity. We get so many of them, and it can almost be tiring. How many that we do, but if we do look at them as opportunities, whether that be to sell a home or equally to list a home,
or to uncover how you can help them.
Uncover how you can help.
Yep.
It's worth, when you've got that inquiry, to ask the next question as to not just waste the call if it's a home that doesn't interest them, but to ask the next question as to whether they currently are. Does this other home suit their needs?
Great.
And it's amazing what you can unearth from asking the next question, which a lot of agents don't do.
So Fraser, what I really like about what we're covering is really supporting the process of making sure that every buyer inquiry is a moment of truth. It really doesn't matter how great Marshall White is, it matters how great that phone call is and how well someone is treated in that particular mode. And the exciting or the great thing about real estate, we actually don't know who they are and we don't know who they know. So by having that opportunity focus, asking those one or two additional questions, suddenly we sound different in the marketplace. And the second thing is we don't know where that will lead to, which is super exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Asking those extra couple of questions is, I think, a point of difference in the buyer's mind, because it's quite simple that a lot of the agencies or agents in the area don't ask those questions.
Exactly.
So as soon as you uncover a little bit more, your buyer that may have a house to sell starts thinking that there's a care factor.
Yes.
They want to help, and obviously that helps not only Marshall White and your colleagues, but also obviously yourself enormously in terms of how we're perceived in the market.
Delivering a brilliant level of service.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for you sharing Buyer Inquiry.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Cheers.